food security risk map for the Indian subcontinent and the Iberian Peninsula. Iberian Spanish. Iberian Peninsula also stand out map. Mapelcroft. 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 Mapelcroft.
Okay. What dominates the food insecurity?
Sub-Sahara Africa.
Subcontinent and the Iberian Peninsula. So these are the food insecurity factors according to the UN Convention to combat. What is the reason? Poor soil, water scarcity, land degradation, low growth on agricultural yield, population growth, poverty, gender, malnutrition. What are the worsening price factors? High prices on the commodity market, lack of investment, governing issues and land grabbing, lack of regional cooperation and conflict, migration and climate change. Okay, these are the ones. Can you comment on any of this? Since a lot of the food insecurity are happening in the sub-Saharan desert.
Yes, like inherent poor soil. This is one of the major factors because we have enough land, but due to the practice we have, that's why the soil has become poorly. Because mostly people continue cultivating on the same land throughout, and that's why the soil has lost fertility, and we don't have things like a fertilizers where to enhance the soil.
So you have problem with soil as well? You have problem with soil?
The soil is poor because we cultivate on the same land, and we don't have like we don't use fertilizer. Yes, and we don't have fertilizer to enhance the soil to increase the productivity. Because country like Japan, they have a limited land, but they're able to produce enough because they use fertilizers to enhance the soil fertility. Because most of the farmers in the developing world, like sub-Saharan African subcontinent, their people rely on what they call just on nature. Yeah, and because the water scarcity is also a challenge because of what they call the climate change, because they rely on the natural rain-fed agriculture. We use only rain-fed agriculture. So once there is failure in the rainfall, it means the harvest cannot there because we don't use irrigation. We don't have the facility to use this to do the cultivation during the dry season, and during sometime a short spell of rain there might be of a flooding because the rain sometimes too much. We don't have some technology like to do water harvesting to store water to be utilized during the off season like dry season.
Yeah, and another one here is lack of regional cooperation and conflict too, right?
Yeah. Yes.
You don't use organic fertilizer. You don't use organic fertilizer like food waste, harvest waste, and then recycle it. You don't use those?
We use, but it is on limited basis. Yes, and also the population growth rate is too high because people are overproducing the population. Like it is according to the World Bank, it is 2.7 per annum the rate, the average. So which is too much, and is expected the population to double in the next few years to come. So as with the current situation, people are unable to feed, so there'll be more challenge in terms of food insecurity as a result of overpopulation, unless there is.
You are from Sudan, Alex? Are you from Sudan? Sudan or South Sudan?
I'm from South Sudan.
South Sudan. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
In our country, there is also a lot of land grabbing. You know, do you have
that? the same thing, because the rich people, they utilize their position to grab the land of the poor. Like in my country, those in the government, the warlord, the one which are now controlling, they grab the lands of the poor. So like they displace people from my region, because the current government who are controlling, they are from the pastoralist community,
Very
and
good.
they brought their animals to our region, because our people in the region, they keep cattle, but in a small number. Most of them, they are farmers. They like use a mixed farming system. They keep their animal control and do cultivation, but the other community, for them, they rely on animals. So when they don't value the other sort crop, they drive the animal to farmers field, so it creates some conflict. So that's why it is sometimes to lead to some of the problem, and there's a lot of land grabbing, because the government officials, they take away the lands for the poor farmers, and because they can manipulate the issue of land title, they can get the paperwork easily, because you, the poor one, cannot afford to get the paperwork.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I can relate very much on that, but we're trying hard to remove the power of the landowners, and land grabbing by having what we call the agrarian land reform, meaning um, you cannot own more than 7 square uh, meters of land anymore. You have to give it out to the farmers so that the farmers can own their land. We will be discussing the last factor, climate change, later on as one of the worsening factors. Okay. The maple crop, they are saying that it is a barometer to identify countries which may be susceptible to famine and societal unrest stemming from food shortage and price fluctuation. There are what you call 197 countries as well as nutritional and health. As you could see, conflict usually, when people are hungry, they really fight to death to get food. And that is why food is so important. All right, this is the status of the populations right now. Which one has the most extreme food insecurity? You are number 9, Alex. 9. Number
Maybe
1 is
it might be even more than this for which year? For which year the status?
Eritrea. It's right here. Number 7.
No, I mean the ranking for which year? 2018 or 2019?
Oh, I'm sorry. This is 2019. 2019. Yes, this is the most recent one.
Okay.
Number 1 is Somalia, then the Democratic Republic of Congo, then you have Haiti, Burundi, Chad, Ethiopia, Eritrea, Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Comoros.
Comoros.
Right? Yeah, Comoro. Right. Extreme.
They have not put Yemen. Why? Yemen, because there is also Yemen supposed to be.
Yemen. I don't know why it's such here. I will show you later. Maybe for further information, you can go and this one. I don't know about Yemen, but I will see later. I will check to you again about Yemen. But in the Horn of Africa and Somalia, Ethiopia and Eritrea, their human failings mean a severe drought has slipped millions into famine. You don't suffer famine in South Sudan? No famine?
We suffer because of the war. It was 2017. There was famine declared in the part of the country because of the war.
Right. You could see in this third statement, war. You were right. War begets poverty, leaving food unaffordable. No. So what else? There is also infrastructure is destroyed both for food production and ability to track in emergency food. What are the food infrastructure for food? No irrigation system, no national irrigation system. You rely on nature. They call it rain-fed farm. That's no good. Then The collapse of society means the effects of extreme weather such as drought that cannot be dealt with. Unless, what do? You do cloud seeding. And the fear of violence turns people into refugees, leaving their livelihoods and social network behind. Because there is a lot of war, they leave their farm, and therefore the farm becomes idle, leaving their livelihood and social network behind. So there's a lot of violence so that people become refugees. This is an example. This was taken in 2011, right? These are farmers in Somalia, capital of Mogadishu, in August 18, 2011. These are refugees. They left their farmlands and their social network and their livelihood because of violence existing in that country. This is an example of that. Now, we will go to the food security mind map. Now, I'm introducing another one. What is a mind map? Mind map is I want you to create your own mind map involving a global and local issues in food security using the previous slides for preference. Discuss food security as chronic, temporary, sporadic, or seasonal, and discuss why socioeconomic factors often exert a very significant impact on the geography of food security, often more so than climate, soil, or geographical. So according to them, it's more of socioeconomic factors more than climate, soil, or geographical factors. The other things that I want you to have in mind is why dry lands can be food insecure, but also can be food secure, and you can give examples. This is an example of a mind map. This is an example of a mind map. So what are the factors? These are all factors that contribute to food security, in the year 2050. First is availability of resources, increasing population, but the change in pattern of consumption of human. In one area in my country, they used only to eat yams and root crops. But now they want to eat rice, no more root crops. So that is a change in pattern consumption. Produce of local organic food, there is a lot of social justice in energy dependence, land resource management, climate, land degradation, as you said, you use it over and over again, the land, and there is no application of fertilizer, so the land degraded. What about technological advancement and infrastructure, like building of irrigation system and dams, fertility and so forth? Then you have green revolution. And as you said, the education of women is very important. Knowledge, child mortality, religion, economics, system inequity, trade, conflict, family planning. Do they do family planning? And social movement, political will of the government, capitalism, and structure and process, energy dependence, and so forth. This is an example of a mind map. Can you make one tomorrow regarding South Sudan, a mind map? What are the food security so that you can attain 2015 food security? Which among these factors? And put it in a slide tomorrow and then show it to me, your mind map based on this. Okay? Right, that is the food security index. So I will show you this one. The food security index, all right? And then we will see this one, the one who are very secure. The one that I showed you before, can you see this? Can you see this?
The risk coping strategy.
Yeah, ranking performance. Do you see it?
Yeah, the one appearing on the screen is a risk coping strategy on climate change.
Oh, okay. Oh. Oh, no. Okay, so you don't see this? You cannot see this? Can you see what I'm showing?
No,
No.
still
No.
waiting.
No, you cannot.
Hmm.
Okay, the first one is Singapore. It is the most food secure right now. Then Ireland, United Kingdom. Third is United States. Then Australia, Switzerland, Finland, Canada, France, Germany, Norway, Sweden, New Zealand, Denmark. Israel is number 20. Let's see where Japan is. Japan is, in terms of food security, Japan is, oh, where is Japan? Probably I missed it on top, right? Japan is number 18. You cannot see this. You cannot. All right. So let me close it. Let me close it then. All right. So that is you can access this so you can see, no? The one earlier I showed you the top who are insecure. Now you can see the one that are insecure. Okay. I will pause now and show you. Wait. Wait. Okay. Wait. I will show you this one. I will skip that one first. I will show you this one first. Where is the world next meal coming from? According to this author, it's in Netherlands. Can you see this?
Yes.
Can you see it? Okay. Right, that is the Netherlands. If this is United States, Netherlands is only a small portion of Texas. This is the Texas. Netherlands is only a small, very one tenth of Texas. No? But let me show you some statistics. Netherlands has been a major food exporter for many years. It continues to increase. It increased 7% between 2016 and 2017 and 25% between 2010 and 2017. According to the Ministry of Agriculture, it rose to 0.2% between 2017 and 2018. Why is Netherlands, a small country, is producing a lot of food? All right, that is your question. The U.S., meanwhile, increased its agricultural export 4% per year on the first 10 months of 2018 through agricultural export. In October 2018 alone, the lowest for any October since 2011, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture data. But the Netherlands saw 104.6 billion in agricultural exports in 2017, compared only to 140.5 billion. You see, Netherlands is so small, and yet they export 104, United States 140.5 billion. You know why? What are they doing? You know, why are they producing a lot of food? They put a lot of what? When famine killed a lot of people in 1944, where 22,000 people died, according to the Oxfam Global Food Index, Netherlands are now the tallest on average, get enough to eat and have access to healthy food. Because they have a lot of food, they have access to food, so that they have increased their food security index. They have what they call majors, they have efficiency, they have what they call dots farming. But they have also problems like antibiotic use in livestock, so its use in veterinary decreased by a third between 1999 and 2015. So what were they using in Netherlands? We do not know. They do not tell us. But what they are saying is that they are the Dutch ministry through its roles to have actually learned their lessons during the 1944 famine that killed 22,000 people. Now they concentrate on food. No? That is Netherlands right now. So you remember that. Now let's go back to the previous slide. Okay. I gave you now my mind mapping. I will now talk about global warming. Okay, climate change. Right. What does this picture tell you? What does it tell you? Tell me a story about this picture.
So it's like telling people are going to shrink like the way the clothes they are shrinking. As the first during 18th century, people were a bit long. As the time 1900 reduced.
This is female underwear. Now this is the wear what they wear now. The proof of global warming. Okay, why? Right. So that is what an introduction of the ano. Now let us first distinguish between hazard and disaster. Okay. A hazard is a natural or human-made event that adversely affects human life, property, or activity. Meteorological hazards make up most of the natural hazard events. In addition to the rise of weather-related natural hazards, more reporting thanks to better communication may make it seem like the frequency and distraction and disasters are increasing more than they actually are. So it's a natural or human-made event. What about disaster? It's an occurrence disrupting the natural conditions of existence. So in other words, you have to have a hazard first so that you have a disaster. Hazard is both natural and man-made. Okay, that is a definition that was given. All right, next. The next one is, what are the impacts of climate change? They can be direct or indirect, short or long term, tangible or intangible, negative or positive. What are the caused by impacts of disaster? Whether man-made, natural, both, there's a lot of humanitarian emergency, call for urgent and immediate relief or aid, and the complex effects that are both physical, social, or economic. What is IPCC? This is the Interpanel Climate Change created by the United Nations. Interpanel on Climate Change. They report that the main findings of the IPCC on the evolution of climate as well as its main physical effects, such as consequences for land and ocean change. There is a sea level rise and ocean acidification. It also brings better understanding of potential spatial changes in rain, precipitation is rain, in intensity and seasonal distribution. According to some of the people that interview, they usually harvest in May, but now they change their harvest calendar, they change their planting season because of climate change. Moreover, improvement in modeling as well as in data collection and use enable making better projections on medium-term perspective and a much more localized scope. These improvements are very crucial to understand and project potential impacts on agricultural systems. According to the latest IPCC, there is what you call a cascading impacts of climate change that can be attributed along chains of evidence of physical climate through intermediate system and then to people. Now I'm going to show you this schematic. This is the schematic diagram on impact of climate change. No? And those are the 4 dimensions of food security, availability, access, utilization, and stability. Now, this is climate change. Yeah, as you can see, climate change. As a result of climate change, there is land degradation. What is climate change? It is a change in the atmospheric composition of oxygen, carbon dioxide, nitrogen, phosphorus, and methane. No? There is a climate change because this also element in the atmosphere changes. There is more carbon dioxide, less oxygen. As a result of climate change, can you see it? I couldn't make it bigger. There is a change in temperature. That's why it's called global warming. There is a change in sea level rise. This sea level rise. There is more rain or less rain. The water availability can impact the ecosystem. It is an ocean, because of ocean acidification, right? There is the aquatic species also die. The cultivated plants, there are lots of pests and diseases that can actually have an impact on not only livestock, agricultural plants, and also forests. This is agroecosystem. Now, because of that, what happened to the agricultural production and post-harvest? There will be a price increase, quantity can be lessened, and the quality of food produced can also become low as a result of that. Because of market trade income, the livelihood of the farmers is affected, and food prices also change. And so the other livelihoods can also be affected. As a result, it affects food security. This is connected. I am connecting food security with climate change using this diagram that I borrowed from Peter Carter. And I think it really fits in so well on what we have actually discussed earlier. Can you see it? This is what we discussed earlier. This is the one. Now, I am putting in now climate change. How it affects the agroecosystem, how it affects the agricultural production and post-harvest, and how it affects agricultural livelihood and other livelihood and the food security and nutrition. Now we are now connecting climate change with food security and nutrition. Do you have any question? This is the ecosystem, the species, the livestock, forest, all right? Because of the production, the price increase, the quantity is affected, the quality of food is also affected, and then the income of the farmers is affected because it's either the food, because the qualities go down, the quantity go down, their income also go down. This is a very good cascading impacts of global warming and climate disruption on food security. And it summarizes everything that we have taken so far. Do you have questions?
Yes, I have one quick question. As an agriculture economist, I'm very interesting. I have very interesting about where the household behavior stuff might be incorporated in this diagram or figures.
Yeah. I guess it's because it's right here. The household do not have any more food available. This is household. There is no more access for food. Changes their utilization for food. And
I mean, speaking of the household behavior, it includes not only consumer based on some consumers' preference, which you have mentioned at the top of the structure. As you know, as you are aware of, household behavior includes production. So my basic question is how the production behavior by the farm household, farm household might be incorporated.
Oh, okay. The farm households usually they have a lot of coping strategies, which I'm going to discuss later. And I think that is what you were interested also. Prof.
Production?
Yeah. How do they, because of this impact of climate change, how do households or farm households cope with these risks? Is that your question?
Yes.
Yes, I'm going to discuss that using the Philippine study. Okay? Because of this, how does it impact the farm household and how do they cope with this? Because climate change is inevitable. It is here with us. It is here. How do they cope with it? And that is the subject matter I'm going to cope. What about you, Alex? Do you have any question?
I am okay. Just there was a part you mentioned about Iberian Peninsula. I don't know which region in the world is it located. Iberian.
I'm looking at the Philippines. Some studies that have been done in the Philippines on climate change.
Okay, if it's Iberian, it includes Philippine side.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
That's good.
Okay.
All right.
Let's see. All right. But let me show you some of these fragile states which I have given. This is repeated. 2/3 of the world's poor will be living in Congo and Somalia. Okay. Eritrea, human field. I think this is a repetition. This is the state fragility index. This is different from what I've shown you before. This is a state fragility index. Before it was Maplecraft. This time it is systemicpeace.org who did this. Again, the extreme are this one in dark maroon color. Again, it's in this area. Very high is this red one. Most of them are very dark color here, right? But there is no, so in other words, the one that I showed you before is the food insecurity map. This one is fragility, no? So if you are insecure, you will also be fragile. State of fragility that was in 2011. Moderate fragile. Philippines is moderate too. As you could see, Japan is now color. Little or none at all. Japan, little or no color. Same with the United States and Canada, little or no color. Same with Australia. Same with Europe. They are not fragile. No fragility. Where is the fragility? You know, most in Asia, and a lot of it are coming from Africa. But South Africa, it's not fragile, as you could see. South America, I'm sorry, the southern part of America, and also South Africa. Is this South Africa?
No, that's Botswana.
Botswana?
Yeah.
Oh, Botswana. Not fragile at all. Similar to that of Japan, Australia, United States, Canada, and Europe. Ours, we are yellow. It's 8 to 11%. Okay? It's a good that I'm showing you all of this. All right, I've shown you this one. All right, now I'm going to show you now the question of Prof. Kamayama. This is how do farm households cope with all of this? These are the agricultural risk coping strategies in the Philippines, no? The study one is the coping mechanism of farmers at Catabagan, Goa, Camarines Sur. This is a province in the Philippines that has extreme weather condition. The author is Agnes Pesimo, and it was done in 2017, and it was presented in Manila. Okay, what is the study about? Okay, this is in one area. It's the question of Professor Kamayama. What happened to the farm household? All right, coping mechanism of farms to crop. What do they use? They use crop rotation. That's one of their coping strategy. In between cropping and planting alternative crops, they plant sweet potato, cassava, and mungo. Mungo. I don't know if that is an internet in acclimatizing extreme heat or weather. So that's what they use. That's one coping mechanism. What about coping mechanism towards their income? You know, when there is a low income, they tend to harvest the remaining goods from their farmland and sell them at a higher cost. So they jack up the cost of their farm. So whatever that remains, they harvest it and jack up the price and the cost of the product. Okay, that's one. That's what they do. What about the coping mechanism of farmers toward soil quality? What do? They allow their crops to decay during extreme rainfall. They let them decay. And according to them, this practice would convert the decayed plants into fertilizers and conditions the soil, thus improving its quality and increase its productivity. So they don't do anything about it. They just let it decay. And once it decay, according to the farmers, it actually can improve the fertility of the soil. This is when there is a lot of rain. Okay. Right, those are the research highlights. That's one of the three coping strategies that farmers use during coping, how they cope with climate change. You have a question? Something can you apply in your country?
I hope so.
Yeah, okay, let's see. Yeah, this is one. Study number 2. Risk management and coping strategies, climate change and agriculture in the Philippines. I didn't get a lot of answers here, but what they are doing is they have resilience at the household level. What do you mean by resilience? They actually save some of the things that resilience means to say what they usually eat, they lessen the food that they eat. That's one of the resilience thing. I'm not so sure what they were trying to tell me, but in this study they said it is resilience at the household level. So resilience meaning to say that if there is so much rain and you bend backward and it destroys, they easily stand up and be by themselves and recover easily. And that
is it almost the same as flexible?
The what?
Flexible.
Yeah, yes, they are so flexible. In other words,
adaptable.
They are adaptable. So it's a characteristic of Filipinos, and that's how they cope. They are very flexible. If they're used to eating a lot of rice, they change it. They lessen the amount of rice that they use. And what do? They supplement it with root crops. They eat a lot of root crops. Now this one, I am going to discuss what we have done. What I am part of it. but I am not the main author. Dr. Zamora and Dr. De Guzman, I'm one of the project staff. What did we do? We documented the knowledge of indigenous people and how they adapt to climate change. Okay. This is the project. How do people in the farm household adapt to climate change? What are their knowledge for climate change adaptation? Okay. Right. These are some pictures. This is the cover of that report. Okay. I'll show you some of them. All right. This is a baka plant. All right. And I'll show you some of them. This is the what we use as a framework. This is the indigenous people adaptive capacity for climate change. They use their culture, the customary laws, they have ancestral domain and their resources. What they use is the diversification of crops and varieties by varieties planted and harvested. They also have knowledge of non-traditional wild plants and animals for food and medicine. They change their cropping calendar and working time in the field. That's how they adapt. They also have historical memory of local weather trends and past calamities. Indigenous climate hazards indicators and warning system. They have their own warning system. They have indigenous food and preservative methods and techniques. And they have other adaptation strategies to promote indigenous climate change adaptation. Sometimes this indigenous knowledge is very important and they can help us also adapt some of those things that they do so that we can adapt to the different climate change. And this is what we found out. Right, when they have, these are onions, red onions, which are harvested so that it will remain, they will have a longer shelf life of these onions. They put it on top of their kitchen. You know, this is their kitchen, their kitchen where they cook, right? They hang them there, onions and garlic. They said this is the way to preserve it so that they won't get spoiled. No? So that's how they hang their onions. This is onions and garlic. No? It's on the kitchen.
Is it, speaking of the onion, is it almost a fresh onion or
They're fresh.
not fresh? I mean,
Fresh,
the
the dried one.
dried one also.
The dried one. The dried one. Okay. In Batanes, in the northern part province of Bataan, they build rock walls for soil and water conservation. These are rocks. They build rocks so that the water and soil will not erode. So they have these rock walls, no? Because there's too much rain in the Philippines. I don't know how it is in South Sudan, but there's so much rain. So what, to prevent soil erosion and to conserve water, they have this rock, we call it rock wall. They build it by hand. It's not meant to cement. That's one of the adaptation that they do. In Suludnon, that's another indigenous tribe. This is how they carry bananas from the field to the area, where these are loaded with jeepneys for transport and sale in Iloilo City. Because there is no market to road. There is no farm to market road. So what do? They walk. You know, I asked them how many kilometers they walked from the mountain down. It's 7 kilometers. 7 kilometers, that's about 5 miles, you know, that they walk. And that is how they sell their produce. these are bananas, you know, because of, as I mentioned to you, there is lack of farm to market. This is another one that you can read, no, plant adaptation to environmental stresses. In Uganda, they have also a study on that. This is the rivers and lakes in Uganda, that's your South Sudan, that can help. It's an infrastructure when you could help irrigate the water. No? Okay. For tomorrow, is it time? Yes. For you to ponder, tomorrow we start our session, and I want you to prepare your own 5 slides to show what are the 5 lessons you learned from the first day lecture. And for each lessons, what are the actions you will take to make these lessons concrete? Is that okay, Alex? Before we
Yeah.
start, we start tomorrow. And I'll send you the slide today so that you can use it as reference.
Okay.
Right. So anything more that you want me to elaborate on this? I'll show you the part of the terminal report. I'll end the show. I will look for the terminal report since you have more time. Just a minute. Okay, how do I share?
Yeah,
Can you see it?
Could you send me?
Can you see it?
Yeah,
No?
yeah, I can see.
You can see? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, this is the terminal report of what we have done. Okay. Right. And I'll show you how the different, some of the,
It is not appearing on the screen. The only slide is the one still appearing.
you cannot see it?
No.
No, you can. Let's see. Uh,
Maybe close the first one, the first slide.
okay. Wait, I will go to this one. I will go to the sharing first. Um,
And start your presentation.
I will close this one. This one you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, the first one is still appearing.
How do I share? How do I share? In the Zoom. In the Zoom.
No, we've already seen I mean, we are watching this all the slide. Now you are showing us the number five, fifth slide. So once you click the presentation mode, the bottom of
can you see it now?
yes, yes,
Yes.
we can see it.
All right. So this is the one that I have shown you where they have a lot of this one is how this is a part in the northern part of the province. I'll show you more pictures about the climate. Now I know how to share. Sorry, it takes a while. Right. This is the different climate change that we have for each province that we studied, how it changes over time. No? And then this is the agricultural calendar that they have. I don't know how you could use it during summer, winter. This is their calendar. Time of fishing. Planting season is in February. Planting season, amihan. Preparation for planting and so forth. This is a calendar that they use. Right. They also have a reed. Use as trellis. You know, how do I make it? All right, use as trellis. This is the Viabut reed. They use it as trellis for their plants. That is one of their coping strategy. It's meant to be used as trellis. They call it for root crops. Okay, let me show you another one. This is the one that I showed you, the rock, right, for their tubers, right? Now, these are the different plants that they use and their scientific name. All right. Okay, this is an example of a buff-banded real bird. It's a sign of a forthcoming calamity. If they see this bird, there is a hazard that is coming. So they look at this. They call it a buff-banded real bird. No? So once they see it, oh, there's a calamity that's happening. No, that's how they use it in the indigenous ones. Now the other one, they change their local horoscope. They call it the zodiac sign is used also. Good to start if you are an Aquarius. Good with plants. Good for fishing or hunting. Then I will show you this one. Okay, I'll show you this one. Farm puzzles. That is an adaptation strategy too. They plant a different crop here and they plant another crop here. Right. Why is it done that way? They don't plant the same crop in one parcel. They divide the farmland into different parcels and they plant different crops. They said that if, for example, this crop dies during wet season, this one will remain strong. They won't go hungry. So they have parcels, and each parcel they plant different crops. That is also, and each parcel is about 500 square meters. That is typical parcels of land that they use. So if this one die because of a certain hazard, and it is not very strong and resilient to climate change, they still have this for food. And that is what they are doing. Very interesting, isn't it? They don't plant for the whole thing. Okay, this is the GIS map that we use, right? There's more. We do that for everyone. In another tribe in Tagbanwa, it's in Palawan. These are some of the local birds that are found in that area. I'm not so sure how they are using it. They said that if there is a sound of local birds such as the gok-gok or wood owl, this one, and pasayaw, and it's a warning signals for impending disasters like heavy rains. Just like I showed you the bird a while ago, if they see these birds around, they said there will be heavy rains and disaster. So they are very keen to their nature. No? That's how they do it. The other one, these are the different kinds of rice that they
So you have been down a kind of knowledge management, which connects information and the action, right?
Right.
Okay, very nice.
These are the traditional rice varieties. Now I'll show you more. It gets excited. These are some indigenous food and medicinal crops. This is black sesame. This is black sesame. This is kulitis, or what you call amaranthus. And then kamal. It's a miracle leaf for them. No, it's called Bryophyllum pinnatum. No? This I cannot give you a copy because of the copyright, but I am showing it to you. No? Then in Iloilo, this is where I studied. This is what I studied, right?
By the way, have you published in Japanese?
Yes, I publish. It will be coming at mine. I only publish mine. This one, the Suludnon. It will be coming out at the Journal of Environmental Science.
Not yet in Japanese?
No, in English. In English. I'll send you a copy of it.
I think some Japanese would like to publish based on publish something like
maybe so.
In some Japanese might want to.
Very interesting, isn't it? In Japan. All right, this is the one I showed you. They are loaded with bananas, and then there is another one. They changed their cropping system. In upland rice, they used to plant from March. They now plant in April. For coffee, they plant in July. Now they plant in August. For banana, they used to plant in June. Now they plant in July because of climate change. In sweet potatoes, they used to plant in August. Now they plant in September. In cassava, they used to plant in August. Now in September. Ube, it's a violet yam. They used to plant July, now August. Vegetable, they move it also from May to June. And peanuts also from May to June. This is what we ask them. No? This is what they do for climate change because the climate is also changing. No? They have a lot of rituals too. You know, they usually eat wild pig. They also eat wild fish and so forth and so on. No? They said the best time to plant banana is during full moon. That's what the best time. Naked males are preferred to plant sweet potatoes than females because sweet potatoes by males is smoother than those planted by females. These are some of the views. Planting sweet potatoes is done when there are big clouds formation because they believe that sweet potatoes would mimic the shape of the cloud. The use of calendar to be informed when the full moon will occur, and that is when they are going to plant their bananas.
Encouraging to work hard. Maybe this statement, but these ideas or knowledge encourage males to work hard.
Yeah, they have to work hard too. Aside from looking at their customs and tradition. The elderly bathe their patron saints in the river and wash their feet. And when they are asking for a good weather and for more rain, especially during dry months. These are the things that they do during planting. These are the things that they do during harvesting. Harvesting should be timed during low tide in order to get high yield. Low tide. Before harvesting, one should survey the area and put kalawag or yellow ginger. This to prevent entry of bad spirit in the field. Dear Alex, no, I don't know. You should have some of these practices. During harvest time, the owner of the farm must go around the farm while dropping yellow ginger or turmeric. Looking backwards while doing this is not allowed. The harvester must face the east for a higher yield. These are some, and this is what they use for harvesting. We call it, it's made of, this is wood, but this is made of steel. They use it like this, they grab it in between, and that's what they use. We call it kayug. Do you have something like this too in your country for harvesting?
Maybe for cutting, people use some
Cutting.
traditional. Yeah.
We don't have cutting. We use this one. We use it for cutting.
Like a scissors, right?
Like a scissor. No, but it doesn't clip. Professor Kamayama, it doesn't clip. This one are the one that
yes, you cut single shape.
You cut it this way. So you hold the rice plant and then you cut it.
Yeah.
It's not like scissor.
Yeah.
Then they have other rituals. Right. This is the part that I have published because that is mine. And also the Ati tribe. It's coming out, I don't know when, but it has been accepted and it has been reviewed and so forth and so on. We also asked them to recall some of the typhoons that they can remember that helped damage them. They have Typhoon Frank, Undang, Typhoon Ondoy, Tampo, Typhoon Pablo. Now, another interesting thing about in Davao, so they also changed their planting season. I'm moving on into some of the land preparation. They have planting bananas also during the full moon. Now, in Leyte, this is where there was the Yolanda or the biggest typhoon. This is the part where another tribe, this is the record of their climate change, right? And this is another interesting one that I'd like to show you the picture. We asked them to draw, and this is what they have shown us. This is interesting one. From left to right, a star near the moon is a sign of possible mishap or crime that may happen. This one. When the star is near the moon, so they look up also, they do not only look at the birds, they look at this. All right? Half moon facing a mountain and a star at its rear points a place that would have plentiful food. A rainbow near the moon, indicates impending rainfall, while rainbow far from the moon indicates there is a typhoon. A half moon facing the rear portion of a star indicates abundance of food. So they look at the stars too in order to tell whether they will have a good harvest or not. And this is their own drawing. We captured it. Okay? I guess that's about it. Farming practice in bye-bye. All right. Let's see. These are again some of the things that they use. See, these are the planting rice and corn, all right? They also look at stars.
Can specify the date on the calendar. like
Yes.
middle of the July, when the heavy rainy season has started, or so.
Yeah.
From based on such astronomical
Yeah.
information,
Yes.
farmers
Yeah.
can. Mm.
So January they start on planning what kind of crops to be planted because they see this the Pleiades. In February they start planting and setting traps to protect the crops because they see Orion belt. When they see the Gemini, which is April and May, they end the planting season, which means rich harvest. When they see the Canis Minor, they stop planting. And when they see Aquila, they time to clean and clear the fields while waiting for harvest time. So they look at the astronomical signs,
Mm.
and these are some of the ones that they saw. This is the Baha from December to June. This is the Malihe, right? This is the Pandarama that they see in January. This is the April, what they see in April and May. This is what they see in May, and this is what they see in February. Very interesting.
Mm.
The stars and constellation with their corresponding month of occurrence, right? These are the things that they do. Okay, they also eat this food. This is a panji. They boil it and slice it, and they can be eaten. It has also white flowers and green fruits that turn black when mature. It contains vitamins. This one contains what is a wild gabi. It's also good. And this is used as a seasoning instead of using the MSG. It's a concoction of palm leaves and hot water is drunk to relieve body aches. So they have a lot of medicinal plants. Okay.
Thank you.
I guess that's about it
Yes.
in terms of today.
Mhm.
And I am giving you some of the studies that we have done in my country. And tomorrow I'll show you how you can do researches, in your own country using quantitative and qualitative without using software. Even if you don't have SPSS, even if you don't have this, you can still make research. Okay?
Okay.
Right.